Hey guys, welcome to my channel. I'm going to be talking today about some of my best tips and tricks for beating the heat in Walt Disney World. I used to work in a school, so our family had no choice but to go to Disney World in the summer, usually in June, and it was hotter than we ever could have imagined, but we learned some ways to kind of cope with it and make it not too miserable. All right, my number one tip is something that you'll probably hear from a lot of people, and that is to take a break in the middle of the day. We never used to do this. We would just power through when we only had one kid, and we were so exhausted by the end of the day, but it was kind of doable. But this past summer, we went with our, at the time, 5-month-old and our older daughter, and we just could not make it all day. Not even just because of the heat, but just because we were so tired. However, the heat did make it so much worse. So my advice is around lunchtime or a little bit after lunch, this is when everyone in the park seems to start melting down, including the adults. So just plan to get out of the park in the heat of the day around 1 o'clock. That's also when the crowds seem to be the worst. Go back to your resort, take a nap, swim for a little bit, and then you can get ready and go out again in the evening when it's not quite so hot, not quite so crowded, and you can be refreshed and really enjoy the evening and stay until fireworks without completely getting exhausted. I would also say that especially if you're staying on property, plan to use the pool. A lot of times we choose our resort based on who has the best pool. We've stayed at Art of Animation and we love their big blue pool. We usually plan one entire pool day if we stay there. They have a splash pad, they have like a 0 entry, huge pool. It's really close to the food court, so you can get a snack and bring it right out. And yeah, that's just, especially in the middle of the summer, it's good to utilize that pool. We've also stayed at Coronado Springs and they have a really cool pool too. Someday I would love to stay at Beach Club because that is the #1 pool that I think would be the most fun, but who knows? Stay tuned, maybe someday. My next tip is to know where to cool down. In each park, there are different attractions that are either inside in the air conditioning. Usually there's 1 or 2 attractions at each park where you can get wet and that'll at least cool you off for a little while. So just familiarize yourself with the park and know where those cool down spots are. So if we look at each specific park, Magic Kingdom has a little splash pad around where it's close to like the Dumbo ride and that whole circus themed area. It is always a favorite of our oldest daughter. We'll just run through there a few times and cool down. And then there are a lot of indoor attractions too. There is Carousel of Progress. That's a longer, probably like 15 minutes show that you can sit down in the air conditioning. Monsters Inc. Laugh Floor, that's another indoor show. And there's lots of indoor attractions too, like Space Mountain. You've got all the dark rides like Pirates, Haunted Mansion. You know, you can look into it and figure out all the different ones. We also like the TTA, Tomorrowland Transit Authority. It's partly inside, but it's just a long ride and you can rest your feet and cool down. So just be looking for those places where you can go inside and cool off. EPCOT is another good park where there are a lot of places to cool down. You've got the whole land pavilion is indoor. There's a food court. There are a couple of rides. And then the Seas pavilion, also the Seas with Nemo and Friends. There's a ride, there's a whole aquarium you can go through and it's inside, it's air conditioned. A lot of the different countries have lots of great stores and shopping that's indoors. The countries have, some of them have different movies that you can sit through to rest your feet and cool down. You can get a little bit wet on the Frozen ride, and it's also inside, so that'll help cool you down. I think the hottest I've ever been at EPCOT is waiting outside in the different countries to meet the princesses. So just be aware of that a lot of them do have meet and greets, but they're outside. We, one day in June, decided to try to hit them all up, and I think we did. We met a bunch of princesses that day, but I've never been so hot in my life, I don't think. So just be aware that a lot of those meet and greets are outside, so you might want to space them out with some indoor stuff in between. And Hollywood Studios has lots of shows that you can sit through if you need to rest your feet and cool down. There's the Frozen sing-along. We love that one. It's hilarious. It's long. There's the Disney Junior sing-along show. That's inside. There's even like a little Mickey short. You can go to this cute little theater and watch like a 20-minute, 15 or 20-minute Mickey short. So lots of shows there. There are actually a lot of indoor rides at Hollywood Studios too. You've got Star Tours, Smuggler's Run, Rise of the Resistance, Toy Story Mania, which is one of the best rides. I will always stand by that. Anyway, getting off track here. Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, although a lot of the queue is outside for that one. But yeah, lots of indoor rides too. I think the hottest area of Hollywood Studios, in my opinion, is probably Toy Story Land. It just feels like there's no shade there. I remember one time last summer I was waiting with the baby while Luke and Scarlett, my husband and daughter, went to ride Slinky Dog, and it was kind of a long wait waiting for them to get on and ride and everything, and I had the baby in my carrier, and I was just so hot, and I wanted to stand there and so I could watch them ride, but it was so hot. So yeah, I would say that's probably the hottest area, so maybe hit that up early in the morning or at night. Toy Story Land is really fun after dark too, so yeah, maybe save that one for nighttime because it's so hot. And then Animal Kingdom. I have to be honest and say that this is my least favorite park. I love them all. If I had to rank them, this would be my least favorite. And I think it's because it just seems like it's so hot. I love the animals, but I do also feel like there's less to do for like little kids, like babies. But yeah, anyway, I digress. But it's very hot. There's a lot of walking trails, which are awesome. But when you're sweating, when you feel like your body is 1,000,000 degrees, you just can't enjoy it. So yeah, that's a tough one. It's tough to stay cool in Animal Kingdom. I feel like the Dino Land area seems in particular to have no shade. I remember we must have planned our day bad last year, and we ended up there in the heat of the afternoon, and my daughter really wanted to ride that spinny dinosaur ride. I can't think of what it's called, but I just remember being like, this is what the surface of the sun has to feel like. It's all blacktop. It's like a big parking lot. Yeah, there is the dinosaur ride, which is indoor, to cool down a little bit in that area. But yeah, it just seems like it's a lot of walking. It's the biggest park and not a lot of indoor queues. I think that's what it is. Most of the lines are outside. Even some of the rides, like the safari ride is great. I love it. But if it's a hot day, even sitting on those vehicles, it's really hot still. And there are a couple of indoor shows. So these will be your lifesavers along with like the gift shops. I could spend a lot of time in that really big gift shop in Animal Kingdom too. I can never think of the name of gift shops, but anyway, yeah, I would say the best ways to cool down would be the Lion King show, which is amazing, makes me cry every time, and the Finding Nemo show. Those are both indoors, and you can sit down for a long time and cool down. I also want to say even some of the quick service restaurants are outdoors. Like we love Flame Tree Barbecue, but you have to sit outside. So you really have to plan it. You have to look for those places and those opportunities to get inside at Animal Kingdom. Maybe if you have the chance to plan it for the coolest day of your trip, I would do that. Or maybe stay, earlier in the morning or later in the evening. and stay out of there in the heat of that day, or the heat of the day, because it can get pretty brutal at Animal Kingdom. No hate, I love it, but but yeah, it's rough in June. It's also sometimes good to just schedule like a nice sit-down meal, because it gives you a chance to get off of your feet and you can sit down. They usually last about an hour. So that's a nice way to cool down, get a big glass of ice water and rejuvenate for the rest of the day. My next tip is come prepared. There are things that you can buy ahead of time that will, at least take some of the edge off of that heat. The first thing that we tried for the first time last year were these cooling towels. You just get them wet and wring them out and snap them, and you can put it around your neck or across your shoulders, or wherever, even on your forehead. We would just stand there like this sometimes, wherever you need to put them to cool yourself down. And they help a lot. It's still hot, but it takes the edge off, like I said. So I highly recommend these. We got them in a pack of 4, and they came in these little bags that you could hook to the stroller. But yeah, these definitely helped. Another thing that is really helpful are fans. We bought this a couple years ago at Disney World. It's not the smallest. It is a little difficult to pack, but we usually try to squeeze it in because it's nice. It has this water sprayer, so you can use the fan and you can spray it, and it helps to cool you down a lot. I also have a stroller fan, and I cannot track it down at the moment, but I know I have a video of it, so I will insert that in here. But it's really nice. It just hooks right onto the stroller, or you can hold it to at least give you a little bit of airflow. And I've seen people have little fans that go around your neck. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff you can buy. So yeah, I'd recommend that. And then your outfit choice is always really important. I would say stick with really light materials, shorts, t-shirts, tank tops, dresses, obviously things that are going to keep you cool. And as far as shoes go, I do like to wear like walking shoes because I think they're comfortable, but sometimes I'll wear some really comfortable sandals. I have these Adidas flip-flops that they're really cushioned, and I've worn those for an entire park day before and been totally fine. So that will keep you a little bit cooler too. I've heard Birkenstocks are really nice. And my next tip is to stay hydrated. It seems obvious, but it's easy to be in a rush in the morning and you either forget to pack a water bottle, or you just don't want to have it and take up the space, but you need it, trust me, especially in the middle of summer. You can buy, there's water bottles there that you can buy, but they're so expensive. And there are water bottle fill-up stations. I think they have them at all of the parks. I'm not sure. I feel like we never were around one when we needed it, but we would just use like a watering fountain or water fountain, drinking fountain. What are those called? Anyway, or something like that. But yeah, always keep a big water bottle with you and drink it as much as you can. Another tip is that at most of the quick service places, if you just go up and ask for a cup of ice water, they'll give it to you for free. So if you need it, do that. You don't want to end up getting sick or, having heat exhaustion or a heat stroke or something like that because you didn't drink enough water. So that's really, really important. Overall, I just say, be in tune with your body and know when you're getting to that point of too much heat, and get out of the sun if you need to. I've seen people pass out. I've seen people get sick in the heat of the day, and you don't want that. That'll ruin your vacation. So breaks are really important. Finding those cool areas are important, and coming prepared so that you can set yourself up for success. I would also say if you have the choice to not go in the summertime, I would avoid it. But I used to work in a school, and that was the only time I could go besides like Christmas break. Our school didn't even give us a spring break, so it was summer or Christmas break. And we did do Christmas break one year, and it was beautiful. It was like in the 60s, 70s, and low 80s. The whole time we were there, the weather was gorgeous, but it was the week after Christmas and the crowds were just absolutely horrible. You couldn't even walk like across the walkway. It was just, I don't know how to explain it, but it was just walls of people the entire time, the whole week. And it was miserable. And my husband and I have talked about it, and we both agree that we 100% would prefer the heat over the crowds. And honestly, you think of summer as a busy time, but it's really not. I think most people go during Christmas break and spring break. Is it empty? Like, by no means. No, it's not empty, but it's manageable. You can deal with it. The lines aren't absolutely astronomically long. So we would choose to go in the summertime if those are your only two options. Because you can, I mean, like I've talked about, there are things that you can do to deal with it, and you can make it a fun time. So if you are going to Disney World this summer, I hope that you found some of these tips helpful, and I hope that you're able to go and have a wonderful time. I've had friends go to Disney World and have the best time of their life. That's usually what our family does. And I've had friends go and literally have like the worst time of their life there. It all depends on two things, and I think those are preparations, how prepared you are, and your mindset. So if you're going in the summer, it's going to be hot, and you just have to know that, and you have to have a plan to deal with it. And I think if you do, you're gonna have a great time. So thank you guys for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, if you want more Disney content, then subscribe. Thanks.